Welcome back from our previous episode where we were discussing on the topic accessibility in tourism with our guest, Mr. Emmanuel Frimpong, the president of Africa Tourism Research Network. Today we are here talking about accessibility in tourism. I agree with you because I remember way back when I was on campus on the UPSA, we had this physically challenged gentleman who completed with first class. Surprisingly, and he was actually one of the best students in the school. So, giving them the opportunity to also get involved, it actually helps them in the long run. Yes. Also, about the historic and natural constraint. What again can you tell me about historic and natural constraint in accessibility tourism?
Well, historically, as a people, we've always, and that goes back to culture as well. In the past, if somebody was born with a physical challenge in villages, in our communities, you would often hear that this person is a water child in Sioba. If the person has a way of talking, we say that, oh, this child was requested by parents from a shrine or a deity, that's why this person talks this way or that way. So we have always had that traditional mindset, cultural mindset, and therefore it has always been with us. But there comes a generation that is beginning to understand the causes of some of these things, and gradually people's minds are changing. In fact, in the past, if you had a child that has some of these syndromes, sometimes they will take the child beyond the boundaries of the community, the village, and then throw the child away, put the child in the forest to die. But things are changing. Of course, we still have that in some communities, but we need to come to terms with it that medically these children might have a challenge. It's not because they were given to the parents by some god or some deity somewhere. So gradually we are coming out of that, but we still have a challenge. We have that cultural mindset about some of these children or people who are physically challenged. But I think we all need to come to terms with it that it can happen to anyone. And if it happens in your family, then it is not because the family has done anything wrong. So we have to accept it.
It's actually true. I traveled to a country, and in that particular country, I realized there's a lot of autism children. And I tried to do a research on that, and I realized that it's mostly because of them marrying amongst themselves. They tend to marry their cousins and all those things. And these genes that you already have is still in the family, and it just, you tend to reprocreate with these type of genes. So like you said, it's not because of a deity or any lake or any god, but probably sometimes it's scientific. Yes. That you just have to go and look into, and these children obviously haven't done anything to deserve that. But Mr. Frimpong, I want to know, how can we ensure that transportation systems such as airports, train stations and buses are accessible to individuals with disabilities?
Well, I think for airports, we are not that bad. We still need to improve. If you go to the washrooms, we still need to improve the accessibility of these places to people who are physically challenged. With regards to restaurants, hotels, buses, the buses, we have to look at how do we procure buses that are friendly to these people. So we need to probably look at taxes on these transport. Those who are into car rentals can buy these buses probably at a zero rate on them. And then also the government should be able to, these Ayalolo buses that we have, we should be able to, I've sat in some of them before, but I don't know if they have that facility where physically challenged people can board these buses easily, because when you travel outside, they have that, the bus stops and then they push something out and then you are able to access the bus easily. And then taxis, I don't know how we'll do that, but I think we can have cars that are specially made for such people and they should be able to access it. Some places also have parking lots for disabled persons, so we should mark it out. Not all hotels have those facilities, not all places have those facilities. I think we have the policy, we have it in our books, but we need to make sure that we implement it. We need to make sure that people are adhering to it. We need to make sure that we are all doing our best to make sure that we create that opportunity for such people.
Don't you think that talking about the challenges that we were talking earlier concerning the cost and the resources, don't these things come at a cost?
The cost of not involving them far outweighs the cost of involving them. Therefore, we must do everything. You see, if we don't involve them, one, we are wasting human resource. We are not giving them opportunity to give to the society what they can. They have equal brains, equal opportunities to contribute. So if we don't create that opportunity for them, we deny them of that God-given talent to contribute to a development. And again, if we don't also give them that opportunity, we also deny them of also developing themselves as human beings, because then they will feel they are not part of us, they are not accepted, right? So the cost of that, of course, that can also lead to mental illness and all sorts of things. So we can't compare the cost of making provision for those who are physically challenged to the cost of involving them. So whatever cost it might be for us to provide for them, we cannot compare. Therefore, we must make provision for them.
Indeed, we must certainly make provisions. Mr. Frimpong, another thing is what accommodations and facilities should hotels have to meet the needs of travelers with disability?
Unfortunately, what I have observed is that I think most of the hotels, they build these facilities without thinking of such individuals. Therefore, but we have it in our building code. We have policy that is supposed to take care of the disabled people. Therefore, contractors, engineers should be conscious of that. Whatever building that you are building, there must be that accessibility for these people. So that is one. Two, we must make sure that we get the policy out for people to know and understand. And people who are also physically challenged should know their right. They have to know that if I come to a restaurant, I have the right to access that restaurant. If I come to a hotel, I have the right to access that hotel. Therefore, if I come and I cannot access it, I should be able to report that hotel to somewhere, maybe Ghana Tourism Authority, or whether the municipal assembly or whoever gives that person, I should be able to report. If we begin to do that, then whoever is building will be conscious of it and make sure that provision is made. Years ago, they were given 10 years to make sure that all these anomalies are corrected, but how many of them have done that? Nobody. And we are still building hotels, we are still building restaurants, we are still building facilities that do not take accessibility as something that should be looked at.
I agree with you, because I remember I worked in a hotel once, and a guest came to the hotel and we didn't know he had a problem. But if we had actually factored in this disabled people, we would have actually helped him. So he had a problem with his back, and it was so delicate that he couldn't sleep on any type of bed. There's a specific bed. He said it needed to be very hard, and unfortunately we didn't have that in the hotel. So we lost a client that day. But if we factor in all these things when it comes to people with special needs or disabled people, it actually helps to improve the economy in a way. Yes. How can tourist attractions and landmarks be made accessible to individuals with mobility, sensory and cognitive disabilities?
I think one of the things we need to do is to train the frontline persons, okay? Because these people have special needs, therefore they should be treated specially. Treated specially does not mean discriminate what they are supposed to use. So if we have a table here that everybody is supposed to eat, okay, we have chairs, but I have a problem. I cannot sit on this chair. Therefore, there must be a chair that I should be able to sit on and still eat with everybody else. Not that you take me to a certain place to go and sit and eat because I am physically challenged. So that is what we need to do. So we need to train people in such a way that they are conscious of how they make provision for people who have special needs, so that they can access the same things without being discriminated, or without they feel discriminated. They should be able to, if it is club they want to go, they should be able to go to club and dance without feel restricted. Therefore, we have to make provision for them, not discriminate them that you can't use it, you can use that. No. So that's, I think, what we need to do.
Very, very true on that one. But are there steps that can be taken to improve the accessibility of public spaces, such as the parks, beaches, and pedestrian areas?
Definitely there are steps. I mean, it's not something difficult. If we are conscious and we want to do it, we can do it. Therefore, we just have to know that not everyone can access certain things. Therefore, how do we create opportunity for these individuals who have physical challenges, individuals who have physical, they are not able to access what everybody else can access? How do we make provision for them to access this particular thing without feeling discriminated? So for parks, it is easy to do. For certain places, of course, there are some kind of activities that for now it might be difficult for them to access, and that is the truth. For instance, if you go to places like Boti Falls, if you want to access certain things, the way nature has designed some of these attraction sites, it will be difficult for us to make provision for them. But there are certain things that we can do that can help them to at least access certain portion of these natural attraction sites that we have.
That's also another point. But how can information about destination and tourism services be made accessible to individuals?
We need to use the traditional media, we need to use the social media, we need to use word by mouth, we need to use what we are doing, the documentary. I know you go and put it out there, people will see it. We also need to go to schools. We have tourism clubs in schools. We need to encourage them, we need to empower them, to also get them to help the young people to understand our culture, to understand our heritage, to understand our God-given attraction sites and what we are also creating. We need to make sure that they appreciate what we have. So the education has to be everywhere, in churches, in mosques, anywhere people are. We need to also put it in brochure, in books, in anything that we have. We need to let people know, and also have discounts at certain times of the year so that families can send their families out for tourism purposes to go and relax at certain places and have fun.
I agree with the discount. Because when you come to a country like Ghana, it's mostly known, like, quote unquote, is those that have money that only takes their children to these tourist sites. Because majority, if you come to my home, I'm not discriminating or anything, but if you come to my home, we don't go anywhere. There is no tourist site that any of my family members have actually been to. So if you are out there, the discount is very important. Let us know whenever you have a discount, I will be there. Also, Mr. Frimpong, I also want to know what training and awareness programs can be implemented to educate tourism industry professionals. Because I remember I went for a program. I think you were one of the people that inaugurated the program for medical tourism. And this, in a way, is a form of awareness to people that would like to come to Ghana one day for medical purposes. So what sort of training and awareness do you think can be given in being able to assess tourism in Ghana?
Tourism is big. If you go to some countries, you realize tourism is everything, and everything is tourism. Because we have sports tourism, we have agro-tourism, we have medical tourism, we have heritage tourism, all of them. Okay, so the linkages are huge. Therefore, everything and anything that has to do with training can be tailored to suit tourism. Therefore, we need to work closely with academia who design curriculum for tourism, that they can have different programs. Recently, CTVET has developed even tour guiding alone. They have developed, and I'm happy to say I am part of the team that developed tour guiding program. They've developed over 100 different programs for tour guiding alone. And last 2 years, we did one for tourism. I know they are doing some for different areas. So tourism, we can have hundreds of programs for tourism. But for me, one of the areas that we need to focus on as a country is customer service. Customer service is extremely important. We need to get it right. Customer service right from the airport to the hotels, to parks, to restaurants, to anywhere. So we have to get that right. And then also we can have specific training for specific areas that people are involved in.
When you talk about customer service is usually brought to me. So how best, in what way? Is it about the concierging that you're talking about from the airport? Or what else goes into the customer service training that you want most tourist guides to have?
Customer service is broad and it can be specific. So it depends on what you want. For instance, if you take front office, what a front office person should learn might be slightly different from what room attendants is so supposed to learn customer service. So might be different from what room attendant is supposed to learn. What a chef supposed to learn about customer service might be different from what a medical concierge should learn about customer service. So there are things that will merge. There are some specific things that each person is supposed to learn based on what you're supposed to deliver. So it has to be specific to specific industry, specific department, and specific area. But customer service generally, there are some basic things that everybody else should learn and know.
Thank you so much. But also, how can the collaboration between government agencies, disability organizations, and the tourism industry be strengthened to promote accessibility in tourism?
For me, it can only be strengthened by involving them in everything that we do. We must be conscious and intentional about it. I've said these two words, conscious and intentional, I don't know how many times, but we must be conscious and intentional about it. So whatever we are doing, let's make sure that we look out for them, get them involved, and make sure that they contribute. When we do that consciously, we begin to accept that they are part of the value chain and they should be involved in everything we do.
They should be involved. I didn't know that there's actually a disability organization. Is there disability, but what do they really do concerning people with special needs?
Well, they promote their well-being and make sure that the policies that we have in our books are actually enforced and implemented, and also make sure that they create opportunities for themselves and also encourage people to create the same opportunities for them. So they have the Disability Association.
So in a way, we need to be conscious and intentional when dealing with people with disability. But Mr. Frimpong, any more light do you want to throw when it comes to accessibility in tourism?
What I will say is this: in this country, we don't create that opportunity for people who have physical challenges. We have to make that conscious effort to create that opportunity for them, to let them be involved in every activity that we do as tourism industry, and we need to also give them opportunity to contribute to what we do. And I will appeal to the industry players to be conscious and create that enabling environment for such individuals to be able to give their maximum best to the sector, because we need all of them. They are all part of us and we can't leave anyone behind.
Do we usually allow people from the Western world that wants to come and experience our culture, our heritage and everything, do we allow them to bring family members that are having special needs or that are disabled?
We do. We don't have any laws that bars them or restrict them. But the question is, do we create that enabling environment for them to be able to also participate in everything? That is where the problem is. You can come in, but you may not have that opportunity to go to places where you would have loved to participate in. So we need to create that enabling environment for them to participate and also be part of all the activities that we do.
Meaning that as Ghanaians, it's really shown that we have a very long way to go when it comes to helping people to access tourism easily. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Frimpong, for being here again on Focus on Tourism. Your knowledge and your insights has actually helped me as an individual when it comes to even helping people with special needs, and also the people out there watching you today. Thank you so much once again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, CHTV, for having me. It's always a joy to be here, and we hope and pray you continue with the good work that you are doing, and also educate people on tourism and potentials of tourism, the opportunities, the enormous opportunities in tourism, and how people can also participate in it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for joining us on yet another episode on Focus on Tourism. Thank you to Hansonic Hotel for supporting this program. Thank you to our CEO, Mr. Ato Brakwa. Thank you to our media crew, CH Media. And join us once again for another episode next time.